Good afternoon. It is junkyard time for the white Ford Escape. But there's a lot going into this before we take it to the junkyard. But first I'd like to say I know I missed uploading yesterday. I'm assuming yesterday. Typically I'm about 3 videos ahead of time on editing, filming, and all that good stuff. I have failed the last few weeks because life has been pretty busy, and typically video post Friday at 3 p.m. and today is Friday at 2 p.m. and I'm just now doing this, so we're going to be a little bit late this week. My apologies. Stuff happens. So you are going to see this video pretty much right after I finish editing it. I'm going to upload it and post it as soon as it's done uploading. You guys will have it, and I'm way behind the 8 ball, but that's okay because today I've got 2 videos. I've got the one we're doing now and then the one that's going to post in a couple of weeks. I'm going to try and do the voiceover like this on both videos, and we should be good to go again from thereafter. Anywho, for those of you who pay attention, I bought the red Ford Escape for a killer deal because it was wrecked with a salvage title, and I bought another one that had a bad engine and a bad transmission, allegedly, to fix up the wrecked one. That's why we have the white and red car, which will be painted here in the coming months. This summer I'm going to try and paint that thing. Make it nice and purty. We'll see. I've never painted a car before, but this will be the first. So that white car needed to go to the junkyard. So there's a couple options here in the area I'm in. Either you can take it to a salvage yard that'll then part it out and piece it out like a junkyard, or you can take it to the scrap metal yard. The scrap metal yard ironically pays more here than the junkyard, and that's where I opted to do it. To take it to the junkyard here, they have some stipulations about fluids. There can be 0 fluids in the entire vehicle, which means I have to empty them. To empty them, I have to get it in the garage. To get it in the garage is a chore because, well, it doesn't drive. I get a lot of vehicles in and out of my garage that don't drive, and typically what I'm about to show you is how I do it on all of them. That's about to change. I'm making some upgrades since I've done this, but you don't know that yet, so just forget I said that. So to get a vehicle in my garage, in my driveway, typically I use the Jeep. It's got a winch on it now. It didn't have a winch before. It didn't even have the metal bumper before. It had plastic. So this Jeep has been used and abused. We've updated it a little bit to make it a little bit more user-friendly. But moral of the story, typically what I do is I hook up to it with a rope or a chain, and I put a spare tire in between them with no rim on it, and I use that as a cushion to try and absorb some of the impact from them touching each other, some of the rubbing and all that. So in order to get the car, I can hook up to the car and steer the Jeep while I'm in the Jeep because I'm driving the Jeep, but I can't be in the car and the Jeep at the same time. This creates problems because it creates bad points of direction, and pulling the car, especially from the front, the wheels want to go one way and the Jeep wants to go another, and we end up doing a lot of rubbing and crunching. Not good. So this process takes me a long time every time I do it. It's pretty much back the Jeep up a foot, go get in the car, steer it, turn the steering wheel again, get back in the Jeep, go a foot, get back in the car, turn the steering wheel, go back in the Jeep, back it up a foot. And we do this process over and over to get it to where I want until we can push it. Pushing it is the same problem, the exact same problem, and it's a pain in the butt. So going forward, I have installed a D-ring on the floor. I can winch through the D-ring with a snatch block, hook up to the vehicle, and just pull it in and sit in the vehicle while I steer because the Jeep has a remote controlled winch, which is amazing. So going forward, this process will be easier, but for today's purposes, we are still doing it the old-fashioned way. Yes, I could push it. I understand it's a little tiny car. I could push it. But what you don't understand is my driveway's uphill, and I got to go over bumps. I got to go under bumps. I got to go over the base plate of the lift, which sticks up about 3 inches, 2 inches. And it's just, I'm not that strong or fat to have that kind of weight to push around. So it doesn't work out so great. So this seems to be the best way now. I got a D-ring on the floor going forward, and that's going to be amazing. All right, so now that we got it in the garage and kind of on the lift, we can pick it up and start draining fluids. And I know we're not keeping this car, so there's not much point in going over what I found, except for the fact that some of you find this entertaining, all 4 of you, and this is for you guys. So I pulled the engine oil, and that actually looked good. So when the lady told me that the engine was bad, I don't know what went bad, but the engine oil itself looked pretty decent. I drained that out. After the engine oil was done draining, I put that plug back up in there just so that the drips wouldn't end up everywhere, and I pulled every other drain plug I could find on the car. You pulled the axle, or the transaxle, I guess, the transmission. Both of those were really, really nasty, like very nasty. This car has about 200,000 miles on it from what I understand, and I don't think those fluids had ever been changed, and might be why the transmission went out. I don't know, but I do know it looked disgusting, very metally. The brake fluid I also drained. In order to drain the brake fluid, I just popped the breathers on the calipers and then popped the cap up on top and let it gravity bleed. It didn't bleed much. There didn't seem to be hardly any fluid in the system whatsoever. And then of course we popped the drain plug on the coolant. You want to drain all the coolant, and then your AC. You've got to drain your AC as well, or recover it properly, or take it to the people that can. Now I told you, legal, take it properly. Anyway, now the gas tank, they specifically addressed the gas tank when I called them to tell them I was coming, and they said I need to pop a visible hole in the gas tank. Now that's the first time I've ever been told that. I've told to have it empty, but I've never been told that we need a visible hole. So I went ahead and poked a couple holes with a drill bit and drained the gas tank. There's about 5 gallons in there apparently. That's all there was. I caught 98% of that in a bucket to be used at a later time if such a opportunity presents itself. I don't know how long this gas has been in that tank. We may or may not use it. I'm gonna leave it at that. After all the fluids were drained and I put all the plugs back in except the fuel tank, 'cause there ain't no plug when you pop a hole in it, I went ahead and put it on the trailer. To get it on the trailer was a bit of a chore. So one would like to think that I could pick it up on the lift and then just drop it back down on the lift, but however, with the trailer the way it is and the lift the way it is, that doesn't work. Just trust me on that. I've tried. That has been the idea every time I've had a vehicle to take to the junkyard, and hasn't worked out a single time. So I did have a bunch of other junk to take to the landfill with me, or the junkyard, sorry. I had a bunch of old siding material, I had an engine, some differentials, a couple transfer cases, and a hood from that red Jeep actually that I kept for some unknown reason. And so I decided to load all that up. Now once the car's on the trailer, it's hard to load it, so I loaded that stuff up on the trailer first and made the wild assumption that I could just drive or pull the car up and not have to strap down all the individual stuff, which worked a little bit. So I did get the differential, the transfer cases, and all that other stuff in the car, which made it nicer. But pulling it up on the trailer with the winch with all that metal in place, it was kind of a little, it wasn't hard, it was just a little touchy. So the metal wanted to slide because it's a metal trailer, so the metal wanted to slide on the metal. The car didn't want to roll, it wanted to skid, and we got it. We did get it. The reason you see that one long piece of sheathing over the garage or over the edge of the ramp is simply so that I figured it would roll, the car would roll over that and not catch on the pile that was there. It was kind of an additional ramp, I guess. I don't know. It kind of worked. I did have an engine, so the engine that came out of the blue Jeep originally. So for those of you that don't know, we had a blue WJ with a bad engine. We put a junkyard engine in it, and I kept the bad engine just because I didn't know what I'd need off it when I replaced the engine in the brown Jeep, which I also did. And I just don't need it anymore, so I did load the engine up on there as well. Flopped that right on the trailer, strapped it down, took it to the junkyard, and that's when the fun began. Typically they don't let me film at the junkyard, but the guy that was operating today, he was all for it, and he put on a little show. Usually they just pick it up and then drop it and they're done with it for the day, but because I was filming, he actually kind of just jammed it for me, which is fun. Fun to watch him have fun. He said as much as well, and I'm glad he did. Here's some footage for you guys playing in the background. I know that's anticlimactic for a lot of y'all, but for me it was fun to watch, so I'm playing it for you guys. I know that wasn't a repair video, that was just an update video on where the white car went and why, and that's where we're sitting for right now. So guys, make sure you stay tuned, subscribe, leave a comment, donate to the channel if you'd like. There's Zelle and PayPal and links down below, as well as Amazon. Have at it. I appreciate all the contributions you guys put in for me. I'm going to be around. We'll have another video in a couple weeks, and keep on keeping on. I'm going to enjoy this March storm.